Traders, stop chasing missed moves and wait for key levels on the chart. Bitcoin might be repeating the exact same setup that started the 2023 rally. Right now, on the charts, something very interesting is taking place. On the weekly time frame, Bitcoin created a major weak point in the market, followed by a strong bearish engulfing candle. Now, this is important because during that move, the market also created a fair value gap. And now, Bitcoin is right inside that imbalance. So, here's the important part. Price is currently struggling to reclaim a key level, and if Bitcoin cannot close above that key level on the weekly, this entire move could simply be a temporary retracement before another leg lower. At the same time, on the lower time frames, we're seeing breakouts or breakpoints forming around the $71,000 level, and price is now starting to show signs of rejection in that area also, which raises the real question right now, which is Bitcoin about to pull back toward the $67,000 liquidity zone or lower, or are we seeing the same liquidity pattern that started the 2023 expansion? So in this video, I'm going to show you what the weekly fair value gap looks like on Bitcoin that Bitcoin is currently inside, why the $71,000 level is acting as a major breakpoint, and also the $67,000 bullish order block that I'm watching next, and my Bitcoin short trade that I entered from the 71,066 level, and also the Morpho trade that's still on its way toward the second profit objective. How cool is that? No hype, no guessing, and if you enjoy these market analyses instead of random price forecasts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. All you have to do is go to the subscription, press this button, and you are in, man. And also, share this with someone who thinks Bitcoin has made its move and missed out. All right, so let's go! Let's first begin with the macro. My favorite guy. Okay, so while the charts are setting up technically, the macro narrative around Bitcoin continues to be extremely bullish. First, a major development from Michael Saylor's company. Their strategy arm, STRC, has just raised $230 million, Mr. Bowers, in a single week, specifically to buy Bitcoin. Too bad this guy here doesn't know how to spell Saylor's name correctly. That's right, wait until he asks me for money. You'll see what I go tell him. Anyway, institutional players are not waiting for confirmation. They're raising capital aggressively just to accumulate Bitcoin. That alone sends a very strong signal to the market, but it doesn't stop there. Let's take a look at this. A $2.5 trillion banking giant, Citibank, just reiterated that Bitcoin could still reach 189,000 this year. You know, okay, they keep saying that, but whatever. I guess it's good to hear, right? When institutions of that size start publicly talking about those kind of price objectives, it shows how much perception of Bitcoin, how it's changed, right? And then we have this, okay. We have another interesting statement from Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram. He said something very simple but very powerful. Governments keep printing money like no tomorrow, but no one is printing Bitcoin. And that's really the core argument behind Bitcoin, as we know, right? Fiat supply continues to expand. Governments continue to borrow money and liquidity continues to increase. But Bitcoin, the supply continues to be fixed, which is exactly why more institutions, banks, and even tech leaders are starting to look at Bitcoin not just as an asset, but as a long-term store of value, okay? Nothing new there. So while short-term price action may still move higher or lower, the macro narrative around Bitcoin is becoming stronger than ever. All right, people, let's get into the charts. So let's begin here with the Bitcoin weekly time frame because this is where the bigger story continues to unfold. Previously, on the weekly time frame, Bitcoin was following the rising trend line, right, as a support, but eventually it broke below that and we saw where it went. You can clearly see how several small bullish candles were forming, showing that the bulls were slowly losing strength, right, in that area there. Now, During this pullback, Bitcoin has also created a fair value gap right over here. You see that on the chart. And an imbalance in the market that's caused by aggressive selling pressure. If we actually look at the current weekly candle, we can see that Bitcoin, it tried to move up again, right? But there's one important detail here. Price is currently inside, or actually touched, this fair value gap, as you can see here, right? And it's been rejected. So for this move to actually become bullish, we need to see Bitcoin close above the fair value gap to invalidate that, right? And more importantly, since price is not able to hold above that level, we have to look at this as we have to look at the bearish potential there. All right, let's move along to this, because this is very important on the daily time frame. Something very interesting appears when we compare the current structure with what happened previously. If we go back to 2022, before the start of 2023 rally, right, we saw a very similar pattern. Bitcoin first swept the buy side liquidity, right? It caught traders, then it created a triangular formation that you see here, consolidation, before eventually working its way higher. Now, in 2026, Bitcoin has created almost the exact same structure again, right? It sold off aggressively, created the same compression pattern, and recently we saw a bullish breakout above this structure, right? Same idea. Now, personally, I believe this breakout could simply be a liquidity trap for bulls, because markets often do something very interesting. First, they catch the bulls, then they catch the bears, and only after both sides have been caught do we see the real move begin. Okay, so think about that. Now, if Bitcoin follows the same structure we saw back in early 2023, we can first see some of some movement before the market actually decides to make its actual move. Okay, so we could see some gyrations here. Keep that in mind. Let's move over to the 8-hour time frame, shall we? So as you can see here, structure becomes even clearer. You can see that Bitcoin was inside the large range, right? And then it actually broke above this triangle. This trend line was acting as a resistance. It broke above that, right? And then it created this bullish order block eventually, right? You see that here. Now, on top of that, price also managed to break above the horizontal resistance. Now, we can clearly see that the $71,000 zone is acting as a breaking point, right? That's way up here, and it's been messing around there a couple of times. After tapping that level, price has started printing bearish engulfing candles, showing short-term selling pressure, right? Because of that, my expectation from here is that Bitcoin could move lower toward the bullish order block. As you can see, it's actually slightly below it, hesitating there, which is around this $67,000 level. From here, we can evaluate the next reaction and see whether buyers step back into the market or not, right? And that takes us to the next trade here, right? Hold on a second. That gets into our 4-hour. I'll talk about that in a moment. Let's talk about Morpho real quick, right? Let's get into Morpho, because this trade's been doing pretty well, right? It's been running for quite some time now, and I've recently adjusted my stop to the new level at 166.42, right? That's $1.66 basically. This level is not random. The reason I chose this level is because it sits around the bullish order block that I've marked on this chart, okay? You can see that in this area over here, right? This green block right there, right? Now, if price breaks below this level, well, actually no, if Morpho starts moving lower, then what I want to see is a reaction from this order block area, ideally pushing price back toward the first profit objective, right? We haven't seen that yet. And then eventually to profit objective 2. You see the illustration here on the chart, okay? But if price breaks below this level, my stop loss gets tapped, and then I'm completely out, and it's no problem because, I have no problem exiting the trade, right? Because this position has been running for quite some time, and if the structure breaks below that point, I don't want to stay in the trade any longer, right? At that point, I would rather secure the profits that I have and wait for the next setup. Very simple. All right, let's talk about the 4-hour time frame. So for this setup, I actually entered the position from the yellow level, right? That's around the 71,066. That's over here, right? And that was shared in the Telegram channel, people. So if you're not in there, I don't know what you're doing. But this was a level I was watching earlier. We talked about it. And once price reacted from there, I took the trade, right? So right now, I'm expecting Bitcoin to move lower from this area, and my plan is to take partial profits along the way. Right? The main objectives for this trade are sitting around the lower liquidity zones you can see here, where we have partial 1 and partial 2 marked on the chart. For this trade, I've only risked 1% of my account, and I'm using 15x leverage. So the risk is controlled, and now I'm simply waiting for the setup to continue, right? So we're looking for price to reach this area here. You see the illustration. No guarantee it'll get there, but that's the objective, and that's what probability favors, okay? So I'll keep updating this trade in the Telegram channel as the market moves. So people, hint, hint, that's where you want to be. All right, let's take a look at this. Update the challenge. So the $10,000 to $100,000 trade challenge. The entire purpose of this challenge is to show how consistent trades and proper risk management can compound an account over time. No hype, no gambling, just following the plan. And right now, we have two main trades running. The Morpho position, which is still active. Like I said, I adjusted my stop to 1.6642, right? Which sits around the key bullish order block. If price reacts from that level and pushes higher, then the trade could continue toward take profit, the first profit objective, and eventually toward the second profit objective around $2.07. But if the market breaks below that level, I'll simply let the stop loss get tapped and secure the profits from that trade. So that trade is still open. But once the structure breaks, there's no reason to stay emotionally in that position, right? So the Bitcoin trade, I entered the position from the 71,066 level on the 4-hour setup. For this trade, I've only risked 1% of my account using 15x leverage, and the plan is to take partial profits at the liquidity zones that I marked earlier. So now the job is simple. Let the trades play out and manage the position step by step. All right, by the way, all of these trades, in case you're wondering, they're all done on the MEXC platform, right? Here, let me scroll lower so you know why you should even bother with MEXC. So all the leverage trades, right, using MEXC. And the reason is simple. When you're using leverage, you need fast fills, deep liquidity, low slippage, and you also need reliable fills, right? This is important. And that's exactly why I'm using MEXC for these setups. There's also currently a special campaign running with MEXC for the community, right? You can check it using the link in the description. All you have to do is sign up using the referral link, deposit 100 USDT within 7 days, and then trade $1,000 worth or more in futures. The first 40 users will receive a $50 USDT futures bonus, right? So if you were planning to trade on MEXC, this is a great opportunity to grab the bonus as well. You can also use my referral code. I'll just mention it real quick. All right, it's MEXC-3QX XN, but it's easier to just click the link in the description. All right, how about that? So also, by the way, we're using Profits Precision to track all the trades and the performance properly, right? Every single trade I take is logged inside this platform because professional traders don't rely on memory, they rely on data. Right? So inside Profits Precision, we're tracking the win rate, the reward to risk ratios, the net profitability, the consistency, everything, right? And the best part is that Profits Precision is completely free to use right now. So you're getting all this information. If you're not journaling your trades, you're basically, you trade without feedback, which makes it very hard to improve. So really take advantage of this. And this challenge is about growing a plan that compounds over dozens and dozens of trades. Okay, so people, Bitcoin is sitting at a very important level. Liquidity is growing across the market, and the next big move can happen very soon. That's exactly why I'm watching the charts very closely right now. All right, so you got to pay attention to this. I am literally sharing a new trade almost every single day, right? And I'm updating every single trade inside my free Telegram channel, right? The entries, the stop losses, the profits, right? The full trade management. I mean, you should be in there. If you missed this Bitcoin trade, that's why, right? There's no excuse. So if you want to follow the $10,000 to $100,000 trade challenge live and see the trades I'm taking in real time, then join the free Telegram. All you have to do is go to the description like this, expand this over here. You can see the link right here. You click on this link and you're in the channel. Very simple. All right, so join it and you're in the free Telegram. Otherwise, people, take it slow, be calm, wait for the market to confirm, and I will see you in the next one. Other than that, let's go!